Today I'm going to rave about a set of irons I barely hit any longer than my current irons. And I'm going to tell you why in this review. I'm Ryan Ballengee from Golf News Net. Thank you for checking us out once again. Today we are talking about these bad boys. The Wilson Staff Model CB irons. These are just a lot of fun. A number of years ago, I played the predecessors to these, the FG Tour V6s. I was completely blown away by them, surprised in every way about them. They became my gamer irons for a number of years. Eventually, as I am wont to do, I will donate clubs to charities, local high school teams, first tee programs, and I donated them away. I continue to play what have been my gamer irons for the last couple of years, some Mizuno MP25s that I really, really enjoy. But when the sequel to the FG Tour V6s, which is effective what these are, the Staff Model CBs are effectively the sequel to the FG Tour V6s, and Wilson says as much on their website. Had to give them a try. Because I knew how good the FG Tour V6s were, and I had to see if the sequels were just as good. I'm happy to report they are just as good. I love these irons. I love the previous iteration, and I do love this iteration as well. Now, there's not a whole lot dramatically different, longer, all that much special compared to the FG Tour V6s, but there are some notable differences between those irons and the Staff Model CBs. So first and foremost, I think the thing you will notice is in the long and mid irons that you've got a tungsten weight pad right here. It's 20 grams. The idea is to kind of push out the center of gravity, offer a little bit of more MOI for a better effective hitting area, and that you get through the ball a little bit better, a little bit more consistently. The other piece of this technologically, other than the tungsten part on the mid and the long irons, is what they've called this tri-brace here in the cavity back. So what they're trying to do with this is basically build a frame from the back of the iron for the face insert so that it kind of moves a little bit, sort of hearkening to what a hollow body iron might do and allowing that face to flex and creating a little bit more speed, but not so in such an extreme case where it's a hollow body iron. I mean, this is 8620 steel carbon steel that we're working with here. It's beautiful, it feels great, and it looks good. But this offers just maybe a little bit of extra oomph. You still have the face insert portion though, so you're getting the modern construction where you kind of have this cage, so to speak, because you would take this part out and you would have, the badging out of it, and then you kind of put that onto it. And again, yes, you have some benefits of modern technology, modern design, but it doesn't look the part. It doesn't look super techy. It looks like an iron, a classical iron that you would enjoy if you were playing in the 90s or 2000s and 80s for that matter, sure. And I like that. Again, very clean look, all steel and chrome. It looks pretty. There aren't a lot of strange call outs. There's very nice use of branding and logoing all throughout the back badging. And they're just, I like an iron without a ton of color on it. I know some people don't mind flashier stuff, and if I can't see it, I don't mind it either. But when I pull this thing out of the bag, it looks slick, it feels good pulling it out of the bag. There's some confidence associated with that, I think, that matters, especially if you're a better player, where looking at it, this is built for you. The long irons are really accurate. I like that they have a good profile to them. I mean, this guy's a 6 iron, but you can kind of get a sense of it. 5 iron, 4 iron, not that different in terms of size, and they're very comparable in club head size to the FG Tour V6s. So if you've played those before and you kind of like that this was a little bit taller and maybe not quite as wide, but it felt like a deep face instead of a wide blade. If you like that, you're in the FG Tours, you're going to like that here because the similar styling carries through. The sole, again, not extremely thick, not extremely wide, but wide enough to offer some help. I'll give you a comparison point. That's a 6 iron. Now we're looking at a 9 iron. Again, a little bit wider as you get down the set, actually, because depending on how your turf interaction. But if you look at the 4 iron, it's very comparable to the 6 iron. Wide enough to help, not so wide where like this is a shovel, this is a game improvement iron. That's not what this really is supposed to be. There's game improvement features, but this is not a game improvement iron in the pure sense of how I would think about it. From a top line perspective, about the same as FG Tour V6s. Not wide, not narrow. It's not like you're looking at a Tour iron or a blade where you feel like you're hitting a butter knife, and if you miss, it's going to hurt. There's no feeling of that whatsoever. There's a little bit of offset on these. Again, similar to what they were in the prior generation. Just enough to know that it's there if you're a better player, but not enough to be distracting where it looks like you're aiming left. I've never felt that playing probably 15, 20 rounds with these irons. I never feel like I'm aimed left unless I want to be aimed left. Again, with the nature, the way that the head exists, being a little bit taller, I actually like that out of the rough. It's kind of a strange confidence that you get from seeing the full club head or more of the club head because it's a taller overall club head. I actually kind of like that a little bit more. That's a little bit compact maybe compared to some of those sort of game improvement or players game improvement irons is what I would call them, because I feel like there's less to twist, so it gets through the rough really well. It has a good turf interaction for someone like me that barely takes the divot. Most of the time sweeps, but I like to hit it down on it sometimes. I can hit all the shots that I want with this. Doesn't matter which iron in the bag. I'll feel comfortable hitting draws, hooks, fades, slices, whatever I need to hit. I feel like I can manipulate this into that shot shape comfortably, and I don't feel like I'm fighting against the club to shape the ball, which is something I really like to do with my irons. Now, it might be the difference between a 3-yard draw and a 7-yard draw, but I like being able to do that sometimes. And then when you get in those types of situations where you're stuck behind a tree, or you got to get around a tree or go over something, I have no problem, no lack of confidence being able to, again, set the club where I want my stance, open it, shut it, swing how I need to, get over, around, under whatever object I want to get around. These guys have the dynamic gold. That's why I got as the standard shaft. There are a bunch of options available. And then you got a Golf Pride grip here. Actually, these were installed, looks like with the logo down. I honestly never really thought about that, but yeah, that's up to your preference, of course. In terms of distance, though, again, as I said in the kind of teaser to this review, they're not super long. It's not that they're short irons by any stretch of the imagination. I hit the same stock shots as I pretty much have always hit. I hit an 8-iron, 155, 160, sometimes 150 depending on the conditions. But 150 to 160 for an 8-iron, I've been hitting that comfortably for 5 years. And I'm totally cool with that, because what I'm looking for with these irons is not additional distance. I don't need that. And if you're a better player, you are probably happy with the distance that you hit your clubs because you hit them consistently. I don't like getting into game improvement clubs, because particularly hollow body irons, because you can get a lot of flyers. You can hit a 7-iron 160 or 200 if you nuke it. And while that sounds cool in concept, if you go 30 yards long of your target, at a lot of places, that's dead. You're making double or worse. And I don't want that. I want irons that go a tight range every time out. These do that. That makes me very happy. It was a little awkward to get rid of a 3-iron because I have a 2 hybrid. So I lost a 3-iron, which I had in the Mizunos, but on the other end, actually gained a gap wedge. So the set came 4-iron to gap wedge, and it's a 50-degree gap wedge. The pitching wedge is 46 degrees. So you're looking a little bit more classical understanding of lofts, a good gap between each of the irons, so they are distinctively on their own. 10 to 15 yard gaps is what I love. I can achieve that with this. The gap wedge at 50, I really actually quite liked. They've had it in the C300 irons, which I've used. And initially I didn't really like it as much because I had a 52-degree wedge. But over time, I've felt confidence hitting this anywhere from 100 to 110 yards, depending on the conditions. I like to hit my pitching wedge 125 or so. And for years with the Mizunos, I struggled from this mystery range of 100 to 115 yards. Do I try to step on a 52? Do I try to take down a pitching wedge? Now with this gap wedge, I've got that and I like it. I feel comfortable with it. And I don't know that I would go again into a set without having that 50-degree available. So I'm very happy with that. And so this is a great set. It's $1,000. You get 4 iron through gap wedges, your stock. You can add clubs to it with the 2 iron and the 3 iron if you want to get into that. Most people aren't going to do that. Let's be realistic. Most people watching this review are probably starting at 6 iron, getting through gap wedge, and then you're going to try to find a couple hybrids. Those options are all available to you. If you are a golfer who likes irons that go the same distance almost every time, then this is where you want to be. This is what you want to start thinking about. You don't want to be thinking about irons that could give you a flyer lie and go 20 yards deep, that you might hit just right and goes way too far. That is not what a better player should want. And if you can find something that you can dial in like these and know standing over any shot that if you hit it and execute it properly, even close to properly, you're going to get to your target and it's going to work out for you. You're not going to nuke it. You're not going to be way short. It's going to be consistent. This is my kind of iron. These are the kinds of irons I can game for years at a time, wear them out, and absolutely love them. So if you're looking for this kind of iron, if you are a better player who's looking for just a little bit of technology, not too much, and a consistent iron that looks good and feels great, I highly recommend looking at the Wilson Golf Staff Model CB irons. That's going to do it for us on this review. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.